Hey gardeners, Amy here with Garden Up. I had a video that I had planned on posting this week about weeds, but my editor's been sick, and so he hasn't gotten it back to me yet. So I thought I would just make a really quick one that I could edit myself and throw up for Flower Friday. I thought we could tour my gardens. So the Xeriscape Bed has been amazing this year. Absolutely fabulous. I love it. So I have watered this bed a grand total of 4 times this year, which is the same number of times I've watered last year, except last year it was all in the summer. This year I had to water an extra time. I think it was back in April. We had a lot of snow over the winter, but when it melted, everything was still very dry. So my gardens were really thirsty, the plants were showing stress, and so I gave it a deep water back in April. But over the summer, I've watered it 3 more times. Pretty much once a month is all this thing needs. That echinacea back there is the one that indicates when I need to water. It starts to droop before anything else does. The sempervivums, all the hens and chicks, a lot of them have bloomed this year, which is really cool because they're super pretty when they're blooming, and then they look really silly afterwards. But then we might get some seeds. I don't know. We'll see. The lavender was gorgeous. The yarrow was gorgeous. It just finished. The echinaceas are still going. And there's a rudbeckia back there. That one is the native rudbeckia. Cherry brandy, I believe, is the variety. It just started blooming a few days ago. So over here in the corner I have an oregano. I planted this as an experiment to see how much it would self-seed and spread, because oregano is really known for that. But and it has done that, so I'm not going to leave these flowers on after they're done, but the bees are sure loving the flowers now, and it is really, really pretty. So I'm going to leave that to finish blooming, and then I will deadhead it so it doesn't spread as much, because I do not want an entire bed of just oregano. That would be a nightmare. Also in this bed is the plum tree, which is just finally starting to ripen. It's not produced a lot of fruit this year, and from talking to other growers, a lot of plum trees did not produce much fruit this year. There's been a few interesting things about this year. We did have a lot of snow, but when it melted, it didn't really hydrate the ground like it was normal. Then we had several dry weeks. Then we had more rain than I think we've ever had in any spring ever. So it was probably one of the wettest springs we've had in a while, but it was always at night, so we were still able to work. It was great for gardening. I didn't have to water until, oh my goodness, June, I think was my first actual water anywhere in the whole yard. So that was awesome. And then we've had not obnoxious heat. We've had a few days over 100 degrees, but nothing like last year where it was just weeks of over 100, 110. It went from spring to hell's butthole overnight and then stayed that hot for ages. This year hasn't been like that. And so far, cross our fingers, it's, what's today, the 18th of August, and we've only had a couple of fires and the smoke has not been too bad. So knock on wood, let's hope it stays that way. They get these fires under control, but we haven't had the smoke season that has been plaguing us for the last 6 or 7 years. Like, where did that come from? So this has been really nice. I think that wet spring really helped to hydrate a lot of the natural areas, and I was afraid it would grow more underbrush and create more fuel for the fires, but that doesn't seem to be what's happening. Or people are getting smarter and not doing things that cause fires. That could be another factor. But there haven't been many from natural causes either, so who knows? Anyway, and then what has happened recently? Oh, the wet spring made a lot of insects go absolutely bonkers. Have you guys noticed all the aphids that we had in the spring and early summer? But then nature responded, and I don't know if you guys noticed. I know a lot of people in my online groups noticed. There were swarms of ladybugs a few weeks ago that just everywhere. They were flying everywhere, and they were all over all of our plants. It was fabulous. So nature has balanced. The ladybugs have responded to the aphids. There are all kinds of beneficial insects that are responding to all of the pests that were eating our gardens earlier this year. So that's been awesome. So I'm kind of embarrassed to show you guys this. I have been far too busy. This has been out of sight, out of mind, the lawn experiment. It was gorgeous. It germinated, it grew, it flowered. I've got pictures. But I wanted to use the lawnmower to collect the seeds from the crimson clover, and I didn't mow when I should have. And so now it is a tall, weedy mess. So I hope I didn't screw up my experiment too bad. I will be cleaning that up soon and hopefully posting another update video here this fall. But that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. It was really pretty when it was growing and blooming, but I just have not had much time to maintain it. So that's that part. Let's move to the prettier parts of the yard. Okay, so the pride and joy of my yard is my front yard, which I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I'm a little disappointed in the number of blooms this year. Like for some reason I expected a lot more flowers all at the same time, and I just did not get that this year. But the milkweed has been gorgeous. It does seem to have lost some of its color for some reason, and that I don't know if that's the age or if that's just been this year. The echinaceas have been fabulous. Daylilies are just about done, but they were absolutely stunning, and the snapdragons are still going, so that's awesome. So what I've been doing with this garden is everything up by the house is the part that gets watered. Everything out by the street in this half of the yard gets not nearly as much water. So I'm trying to xeriscape this front half. And anything that doesn't do well there this year is going to get moved to the other side in the fall when it's time to move things. But so far, everything is done pretty well. I've got a lot of really neat new native plants and drought-tolerant plants in here, and I'll show you those in a minute. And then everything up by the house that gets watered regularly is just fine. It's doing great, of course. So let's walk through and see my new plants. So we've got this is swamp milkweed, absolutely stunning. Look at that, it's almost as tall as Lily. Go stand next to it. The lilies were as tall as Lily. The milkweed is almost as tall as Lily.
No, it's not.
This is my real one that I'm really excited about, though. So this is a hardy hibiscus that I actually got from my neighbor, and I thought I killed it. It was just a stick for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, there was a bush of growth, and just the other day, the first blooms opened up, and I was so excited. I don't think that's native to here, but I'm just super stoked that it's alive. I'm happy. Yay! That's really exciting. All right, let's see. What have I got over here? This one is a penstemon, I believe Penstemon digitalis. It had some really pretty white flowers on it. Really nice little cluster of those right there. This is a perennial called Blue Star, and I haven't seen it bloom yet, but I'm really excited because it should be absolutely gorgeous. And then I planted a crocosmia here last year, and look at that, it's just starting to set bud. Very, very pretty. I'm so excited. And then there's a little penstemon here. I don't remember if I planted that or if I volunteered because it's right next to some snapdragons. All right, let's see, what else is in this bed? If you see anything you'd like to know about, let me know in the comments below. This one was Oregon Sunshine, and it had a gorgeous just blanket of yellow flowers in the late spring. Very, very pretty. I was hoping to do showcases of native plants, and I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I'll give you a little preview of some of the ones that I'm getting to know now. These here, this is a yucca, which is a plant that's native to us here in the inland northwest. And once they get established, they can have those tall bunches of gorgeous white flowers. Absolutely stunning. I love yuccas. Um, but to plant a yucca is to be married to it because those roots go so deep, you're pretty much never going to get it out. So make sure if you're going to plant a yucca that you're serious about it and you want it to be there forever because it will be. This little thing here is a native dianthus. I had several of them. It looks like only 2 of them made it. That one bloomed, so that's cool. There's a yarrow. Yarrow is native. Isn't that pretty? That just opened a couple days ago. Do you know what it is? It's a poppy.
Poppy troll?
What?
Poppy troll?
Well, Poppy the troll is named after poppies, yes. Just be careful with it. Don't pull the pretty flower off.
What's the inside?
I don't even remember planting that. I don't remember where it came from. Okay, let's see. What else is in my xeric bed? So I've got lots of irises. Irises only need water during their blooming season. Beyond that, they're quite xeric. And then next to it, I have an aster. This will be blooming in another month or so. Okay, this is really fun. This guy here, I planted this as an annual. It's a gaura, but it's zone 6. And so I just thought, you know, if I put it in the ground and I bury the heck out of it with pine needles, I wonder if it'll come back. And I have at least 3 of them that did. So I'm really stoked about that guy coming back. It's really exciting. Let's see. Then we've got my liatris, which is currently blooming. This one's almost done. I've got my roses. I've got a milkweed that did not bloom. More irises that I just stuck here because I didn't have anywhere else to put them at the time. Back in there, I have a rudbeckia that just started blooming. Very pretty. Those are a late summer bloomer. And then, so we're in the part of my yard now that gets water. That gets water quite regularly. This is salvia. It's one of the pink varieties of salvia, which was really fun to add. This little creeper right here was another thing I planted as an annual, but it came back. And I don't actually remember what that one was called, and the tags are gone. So I'll have to look that one up to remember, but I didn't expect it to come back, and it did, so that was cool. I've got lots of canna lilies all over the place. And then my tall phlox just started opening a few days ago. Get the light right so you can see that. That's so pretty. Okay, this guy here is meadow rue, which I planted this spring and it flowered and it was super pretty. I have my Neptune rose, but it's done for the year, I think. I have some corkscrew grass right here, which is really fun. And then these guys, these little seedlings right here, that is self-heal, which I planted in the lawn. I overseeded, and yet I had to have none in the lawn, but I have several of them right over here. So, yeah, that's fun. They grew where I didn't want them, but not where I did want them. Story of my life. I also have a couple volunteer foxglove, which I'm totally stoked about. On this side of the yard, I have another canna lily that I put in there. I have another tall phlox, very, very pretty. I have some soapwort right here, which this is a really fun one. It's not native, but this plant came with my house, and I didn't know what it was for the longest time, but it grows and it blooms and it thrives whether I water it or not. Honestly, it might be a touch invasive. Like it's a pretty aggressive plant, but in the right place, it's fabulous. I've actually been using it at a few clients' places to help with steep hillsides and to stop erosion, because the creeping roots under this thing are just really tough and they're good at holding things together. So that's really cool. Come over here, we got the echinacea right here, which is, some of the flowers are almost done. Others are still quite gorgeous. Last year I decided to not deadhead this. I thought I'd leave the seed heads for the birds. And I saw a few over the winter, which was really cool. But this spring I had a surprise, and that was a ton of seedlings. So I've been giving these away. I've been letting them be here rather than weeding them out because I would love to just have more of these plants. And I've just been giving them away to neighbors and clients and pretty much wherever I can rehome them. And this liatris over here, same thing. I have a ton of seedling liatris coming up. These will probably all bloom next year. Whatever's still here, I've been giving them away. So if you're in Spokane and you want some free plants, message me and we'll hook you up. And then my milkweed's just about to start seeding, so that'll be fun. And then over here I have this gorgeous canna lily. I love these big multicolored leaves. They make such a statement. It's one of the only things in the yard that's not green. I really do need to add some more different colored foliage. But yes, I absolutely love this. I have a few more plants over here that I intend to add to my yard at some point. These are all natives and drought adapted things. As well as I picked up a couple of trees that have been sitting here all summer. We have a Cosmic Crisp apple and a peach, a Red Haven peach, and we have a cherry over here. This one had a touch of a disease when I brought it home. We've hopefully pruned it out, and it should be all right, says the nursery owner. But I don't know, I have my doubts on that one. A few more things about the front. My window boxes are kind of sad and pathetic this year, and that could be two things that's going on. One, this was the second year using this soil. I have not fertilized, I have not amended, I have not done anything. So the soil might be depleted. But since all four boxes are looking kind of sad, I think it's the second reason, which is because I didn't plant these things until almost the end of June. And so I planted them, and then it got really hot, and they just have not had time to get established and thrive. So this is my potting soil experiment thus far at the second half of August. Yeah. Definitely not the impressive show that I was hoping for. So, lesson learned, do not wait to plant your annuals. Get them in the ground on Mother's Day. All right, this thing, I love this zebra grass. I planted it the year after we moved in, which would have been 2018. And it was just this adorable, cute little cluster of grass that framed. I have one on either side of the front door, and they framed the stairs, and they were so cute. And now we can barely walk up the walkway, let alone get to the door without slapping our face on this thing. So it's outgrown its space. It's going to get moved this fall to another part of the garden. But I still love these variegated stripes on the zebra grass. My shade corner back here looks like heck. I'm working on cleaning it up, and that's actually one of the next videos I'm going to be posting. I've done 3 videos in this corner alone. There was this huge, giant greater burdock underneath the cherry tree, so I just removed that. That's the next Weed Wednesday video. And then I'm going to be cleaning up this garden in the next video after that. And then it's time to prune the weeping cherry, because if I'm hitting my head on the branches as I walk under it, it's definitely time. The tall people that I employ cannot walk under here. So that's getting pruned up, and it also has some shot hole fungus, which a lot of prunus species have this year. Here we go. Again, because of the wet spring. The holes in the leaves. That's shot hole fungus, which can be quite devastating if you have a lot of prunus trees. So that's going to get pruned out, and Alan Vesley will be joining me again to prune this tree and talk about shot hole fungus, and if you have it, what you should do about it. Alright, so I think that's everything in the front yard, so now let's head to the back. So my Huckleberry Bed is doing really well this year. I'm very pleased with it. The plants are growing. The ones that were alive this spring are all still alive. The ones that were dead are still dead. So, might be time to give up on them, but I'm not quite giving up just yet. I added quite a few things to this bed though. So I have this row of canna lilies over here that I got them on clearance last fall, and they all came in gallon pots, and it was too late to take them out and root wash them because it was too cold. So they stayed in their pots, which meant they grew all winter, and they actually bloomed in January, which was really fun and nice. But I finally got them out here. They're so pot bound I could not even pull the roots apart.
Mommy,
You want to be in it? Then there's this thing. The other thing that Lily and I did this spring was we sowed a whole bunch of seeds along the fence line. I planted a lot of things that didn't come up, but I am glad to see that my morning glories came up. These are the most gorgeous morning flowers. They have bright purple petals with a white center, and the sun just comes through them, and it's like they're glowing, and it's amazing, and I love them, and I'm so glad that those seeds were still viable because I've had them for 10 years at least, and I haven't planted them in forever. So that's something I've added. I added the thyme walkway. It's coming in really nice. And I had to brace up the elderberry and the artemisia because they are both so tall that they fell over, and they landed on top of each other, totally blocked the path back there. Bees! Okay, so update on the beehive. This has been so much fun to have this back in the corner this year. There's been ups and downs, though. Like, we've gotten stung a few times. Our hive is apparently a little bit more cranky than your average honeybee, and so on some of the really hot days, they were really cantankerous. My husband got stung once. He was just sitting on the patio, and one came and flew at him, and he swatted at it, and of course he got stung for that. The dog got stung on his back, and we can't figure out how that happened because he doesn't come anywhere near here. He's terrified of this thing. But we think he must have just rolled in the grass and landed on a honeybee, and that's what set her off. We're not entirely sure. And then I had a couple of workers over here practicing and digging up weeds early morning, so the honeybees weren't even awake yet, and they got stung. And so I actually discussed with Hillary different options, and we were going to put in a new queen with gentler genetics, but when we got in here to pull out the old queen, we actually found that there already was a new queen. And what had happened was that Hillary had pulled a honey frame and didn't find my existing queen on it, but she must have been in there. And so, and we found her later. She was in there. So the workers had already started making a new queen, and when my gardeners were here working was when that new queen was out on her mating flight. And apparently bees tend to get really territorial when their queen is out of the hive, and so that's what we think set them off and made them really cranky, because since then they've been super friendly. I've been able to weed all around here, gotten right up to the back of the hive. I transplanted a bunch of Virginia creeper back there. It's not happy. It's not really growing in, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Virginia creeper grows like a weed, so I'm not too worried about its long-term survival. It's just looking dead right now, like way back in that corner over there. It's a bunch of dead plant stuff. So I haven't quite had the nerve to weed the front of the hive yet over here, but I'll be doing that soon, again early morning, before the bees even wake up. But I've had a lot of fun with them, and I highly recommend it. It's been just really cool watching them buzz around and pollinate all my flowers and finding them all over the place. It's been great. So this year has not been a great year for plums, but it is turning out to be an excellent year for grapes. I just planted these last year And I'm already getting lots and lots. There's tons of grapes. These vines are just loaded. They also do have a lot of leafhoppers, but I've seen quite a few lacewing flies, at least lacewing fly eggs. The lacewings are what eat the leafhoppers. That's the main predator for these. So I've been very careful to encourage my lacewings and not squish the eggs when I see them. There's one on my doorbell right now, which is all kinds of fun. So this monster of a plant behind me right now is quickly becoming one of my favorites. It is, I don't think it's native to this area though, because it is one of the thirstiest plants in my yard. It's in the middle of 4 different watering zones, so it gets way more water than anything else back here, and yet it's the first to droop all the time. And so it's actually my indicator plant that tells me when I need to water, which is helpful. So anyway, but it's just about to burst open, and these blooms are just gorgeous, and the pollinators love it. It's always covered with different bees. It's had butterflies on it. It's had all kinds of things. So it's just gorgeous plant. And it comes in several different sizes. This is obviously the full-size variety that is over 5 feet tall, probably close to 6 feet tall. This thing is just huge, but I absolutely love it, because in the fall it's absolutely covered with these big, gorgeous panicles of flowers. Great plant. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to tell me by hitting the like and leaving a comment below and all those things. I don't normally do like blog style videos, but I thought it would be fun and something easy to put together. So if you like this style of video, let me know that so I can do some more like it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. What are you waiting for? You made it all the way to the end of the video. Make sure to do that. Alright guys, thanks so much again. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the garden.